2, 1. Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to episode 297 of the KBMOD podcast. It is October 15th, 2017, and we're back, man. The full crew again, 2 weeks in a row. How about
Spooky
it?
podcast.
Spooky podcast, yes. In case you didn't, you're listening to this after the fact, or you couldn't catch the live version. The tweet this week was this week's podcast is about to go live with 5 spooky ghost emojis, and then come join us for the spooky with 2 jack-o'-lanterns for the O's podcast. So Brandon did some great graphic work for us on Twitter.
Can you believe that?
Properly decorated.
Does anything personify that we are in the year 2017 more than a standard character recognized on all devices that's just literally a jack-o'-lantern?
Yeah, I don't. That's a great point. That's pretty great.
We truly take things for granted that you can just send someone a text character that's literally a jack-o'-lantern. It's only used for this sort of thing, for like memeing around Halloween, and that exists as a standard character of our language now.
It does. We are living in truly a spoiled time for emojis and just expressing ourselves in general. I'm totally with you.
They're adding new ones all the time. I found a mage emoji. It's like a little wizard thing, and I was trying to work that one in too, but it's so new that I thought some people's devices may not be able to render it. I didn't want to leave people out that might have like an older phone or something.
Right.
We don't.
It's really annoying. A lot of people. It really surprises me just how many people still don't have the thinking emoji on their phone. Like
thinking emoji is actually like the reason emoji should exist.
It's
because
so
that
good.
is
There's
no better way to express that emotion than the thinking face.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
like
perfect.
before, what would you have to type out to give the thinking emoji expression? Like
Just
maybe like an
marks.
ellipsis, like ... But that's I
was going to say ellipsis,
aggressive.
But no. The thinking is it does the job for it's
like it conveys the
periods.
emotion without too much passive aggressiveness.
Right.
Which is pretty much what I've been looking for a long time.
Right.
Easily
I actually can't think of an
emoji.
emo, Brandon, that is more like that was made for you. Like I think like if I think of an emoji and the person that it reminds me of, honestly, that emoji makes me think of you, Brandon, because you use it a lot. And I'm not saying that we warrant situations where you use that emote, but I've seen definitely just in dealing with Brandon behind the scenes. I think that emoji.
It basically
is
just that emoji describes my mind all the time. It's just a constant state of that emoji. Like the feeling of that emoji is just always how I feel. And occasionally I actually type out the emoji. But just know that even if I don't type it, that's just always where I'm at.
That's your default state, is just thinking. Yes.
I think it's really interesting how we're kind of reverting back to hieroglyphics with emojis. Like, it's kind of given their frequent use, that's all we're gonna do.
I think that's an interesting point. Is that like, and I'm an emoji abuser. I know, like in the sense of I overuse emojis, and most people are like, "Wow, dude, use a lot of emojis." But then people adapt their conversation to me. And 99% of the time, any conversation feed I'm in, there's tons of emoji spammed. And people are like, what am I doing? And I'm like, it feels good, doesn't it? It feels fine. Just
and like, especially when like you and I text, there are some emojis you send that like translate into different emojis on like my phone. Like, I don't know which one it is for you, but the one you use the most often is just a guy in a red shirt with like just black hair. And I look at it, I think like, why are you sending me a picture of Ying? And I'm like,
interesting. I wonder which one.
I want to know. Yeah, I don't know which one it is. Like, I'll pull it up right now and see, but just to see it all the time. Like, sometimes I'll throw in an emoji in a message just for the sake of having an emoji, because it puts that kind of warm, inviting flair on it, without really. Some of them do.
It makes the message feel a little more fun, like a little more lighthearted.
Right.
It takes gravity away from what you're saying.
Well, and then you also can express yourself with emojis where, like, if you put a prayer hands or you put like an okay hand or a thumbs up with your text, whereas
I just love that you're saying these words non-ironically, because this is just like everyone knows what this means now.
They do. They do.
Oh man,
I know.
But when you say them out loud, we sound so foolish.
Yes.
I think that Twitch has certainly been the first website that has effectively been able to denote sarcasm via text with the kappa emote.
Mm.
Yeah, there is value to having that language where, like, the thinking emoji, the kappa emotes, I feel like these were not things that you could traditionally use the old school emoticons for. So, like, back when, harken back to the days of AIM, speaking of which, is shutting down soon, but like back in the AIM days, you would put like the colon and then close parentheses for your smiley face. Right. But if you put that at the end of a message, like that, sometimes that could get misconstrued, right? Depending on the context. Sure. Like, maybe if you send that to a member of the opposite sex, like, are you hitting on them? Is it, what's going on? So, like the thinking emoji, there was no equivalent just in like the text format of something as elaborate as the thinking emoji, which is why it's so valuable, because like these expressions are so elaborate now.
If you typed in like a ... you just seem like you're unsure of yourself. Whereas like you drop a thinking emoji, you're very clearly saying what you mean. There are like a lot of really good emotes. Like you said, kappa. Like I really like texting people. I want to put in kappa, or I want to just type kappa, but I can't.
No, and that's the biggest danger is when you are in context outside of Twitch. And you have to question, is it appropriate for me to just type the text? I don't think so. Yeah. But it captures such a specific feeling. I compare it to how we often will find words in German that describe a very specific feeling. I think some Twitch emotes do that on emote level.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Absolutely, it does. Sometimes they're so spot on that it really can't be conveyed via like the word or as a sentence. Even you look at it and instantly. And also, I was thinking about the fact, again, I know we're going to, okay, what are we doing? What podcast is this? Real quick before we find out what we've been doing this week. But I'm totally with you. Whereas like people, the way that they communicate via the emojis and emoticons and whatever else on Twitch, if you have never seen them or heard their voice, the way that they communicate with emotes actually becomes a part of their personality. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but for me as a streamer, people will use certain emotes more than other ones. They'll be in other channels maybe that I'm not subscribed to and use emotes. That becomes a part of their vernacular to me and the way that they are shaped in my mind, which is bizarre to really think about. But it's like I don't really have any other frame of reference. Sure, they type and stuff like that, but I'm basically, instead of seeing them face to face or seeing their emotion, they use emotes. And it's like it works the same way on a certain level, which is bizarre.
Like each person's personality comes across a little more distinctly than it did in the past when they're just using letters and numbers, because it's not so much about like how the standard things you would notice, like their grammar or capitalization or things like that. It's now like actual more expressive images, and especially with Twitch, like those images are very customized. That you get to know someone in like a much more distinct sense than just like alphanumeric characters.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. So anyway, this has been the Twitch and emote and
we actually have a
spinoff.
We have a spinoff podcast that we're launching. It's actually just called Thinking : That's the name of the podcast.
Ooh. That's actually a great title for a podcast, Brandon. Holy shit. Someone's going to steal that now. We basically have to make that podcast now because that is such a good title.
As I was saying it, I'm like, actually that would be the name of the podcast if we had
that's really good.
Like an emoji analysis podcast.
That's brilliant. Okay. Well, nobody steal that. You heard it here first. You know where it originated. Once somebody does that, just give Brandon credit at least. But all right, beyond emotes and emojis, what have been up to this week? Brandon, I'm gonna let you go first because I know that you're setting up for a bit of a rant. You've had quite an interesting weekend in regards to or week in regards to I believe a certain television. I won't spoil it, but talk to the people about what you've been dealing with here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this definitely qualifies as a first world problem kind of thing, but it's one of those problems that I feel like really just in the year 2017, like this is a real problem. This is what you deal with.
Right.
So I got a new TV. I think I mentioned on the podcast when I got it. Nice 65-inch Vizio. It was a new downstairs TV, replaced the TV that I'd had for about 7 years or so. Right, so it was time, and did my research. Like this is a good quality TV, but it wasn't cheap. It was like $2,000. Okay, so it's an expensive TV because I plan to keep it for a long time.
Sure.
So the first one I got, it malfunctioned. Like straight up, it was broken. So I had to replace it. Not a problem, whatever. Got it replaced, but it was still annoying. Right? I had to go through the whole support process and everything. So TV's been fine. It's great. I've been enjoying it. All of a sudden, recently, I notice a spot on the screen, and I thought it was dead pixels. I was like, "Are you kidding me? The brand new TV has like a dead spot." And actually, at first, I thought it was on the front of the TV. So I got out my microfiber cloth, gonna clean it off. Except, sure enough, the thing doesn't clean off because it's not on the front of the screen. It's on the inside of the display. And so, you can see it very clearly when there's a bright picture up, right? So anything like white or green, or you can, when it's a solid color, you can absolutely see it. And I look at it, and it's a bug. It is an insect on the inside of my display. Now,
not good.
So I look at this and I think, all right, so surely this is like, there's nothing I can do about this, right?
Right.
Like it's inside of the, it's literally, it looks like it's on the screen. So like it is pressed up against the display. There is no way for me to solve this issue, right? I assume taking apart my own TV, one, probably is not a good idea, and two, probably voids the warranty, right?
Right.
So what do I do? Of course, I call, the fine folks at Vizio support, who I have already had to deal with once before.
Oh boy. Yep.
And I tell them about the issue, send them some pictures, whatever, and they tell me, this isn't covered under the warranty. I was like, so what? Like, what? How could I have stopped this from happening? What could I have done? Like, could I, is there anything I could have done? And the person's like, basically, like, pretty much no. Like, there's not, nothing you can really do, nothing you could have done to stop it. And I was like,
we don't cover.
Yep. I was like, so you're telling me that there's no way I can make this right on my own, but you've chosen not to make this right. Like, I get if maybe there's a thing, like a little clause in your warranty that says technically you don't have to honor this.
Right.
But most companies that want to keep business,
loyal customers, maybe you'll buy another TV in 10 years. I mean, who knows?
Generally, common sense dictates that like when there's a brand new expensive item like this, you probably try and make it right for the customer. Nope.
Yeah.
Straight up. And so then this is actually like my favorite part of this story is obviously the first thing I go, because what do you do in 2017 when something bothers you? You tweet about it. Okay.
You go to Twitter.
So I tweeted about it. The Vizio Twitter account responds back just straight up saying that, we don't, the warranty doesn't cover a bug inside the TV. I was just like, how did this is like how cold-hearted do you have to be? Like, just what did you hope to gain by replying and just saying, yup, that looks like something we would not cover. Go pound sand.
That. Wow. I wonder, how often do they get bugs in the TV? Is it so common?
I didn't know this was possible. That's why
right.
I was so dumbfounded when it happened. I was like, how does a bug even get inside the display? Presumably, this has never happened to a TV I've owned before. I've never seen this happen.
Yeah.
And so, so Vizio, to all of you out there listening, I'm going to flex my social influence and try and tell you, do not buy Vizio. Because I have up until this point I had been fine with them, right? The TV is fine. It's like whatever. After they replace the first one, I get it. That happens.
Right. Sure.
But this issue, like, I can't let this go. Right? I literally I show you a picture. Yeah. There's no way I could have done this myself. Right?
Yeah.
No. When you manufacture the TV, if it's possible for a bug to get inside the display, then it's clearly a warranty issue. Yeah. Not like how this just doesn't make any sense to me. So anyway, Vizio has made very clear to me, both on social media and over the phone, that this issue will not be covered under warranty.
Yeah.
So I get to just turn the brightness down on my TV and watch like dark, gritty dramas so that I don't notice that there's this big, like, dead pixel looking spot on my TV.
This is like you said, this is a nice TV. This is like a $2,000 purchase. Like this is not.
Yeah, we're not talking about a little 27-inch, $100 TV. This is like their flagship model.
No, yeah, that's a pretty big deal.
So
this hurts me in two different ways. Like, not only did they go on your personal Twitter and see that you were MLK Bulldog and not honor your purchase, but then the TV in my room is a Vizio, so I have just no choice but to.
Oh,
dang.
Oh my. KD, for you audio listeners, KD literally just threw his Vizio TV in the garbage.
Just threw it away.
Oh man, you're gonna have to clean that up after the
But
cast.
I think the reason it upsets me so much is, look, if I really wanted to, if it bothered me that much, I could go out and like buy another TV. Right? I could sell this TV, I could buy another one. Right? I can, like, I have a job, I can afford stuff. It's not the end of the world for me. But I bet there are a lot of people out there who, like, they would buy this TV, and that is a huge, huge purchase for them.
Yeah, they're not.
Right. And like,
buy another one.
This is not a small thing for someone, and it's not something they buy all the time. So just like the fact that it's not covered, and I bought this TV like 4 or 5 months ago. It's basically still like brand new. I was appalled that it wasn't worth like trying to fix, and instead just like quoting the warranty and saying, yeah, we don't cover that.
Yeah, that's rough, dude. That's tough. I'm with you though.
That's my first world problem of the week. But do yourselves a favor, and I mean, like, I actually, this is one of the few times where I can confidently say, like, I won't buy another Vizio TV. Period. Yeah. Because there's so many TV brands out there that it's like I took a chance on Vizio, but I won't take that chance again, because like, you don't buy TVs that often. So one issue like this, like, why would I give them a second shot? So I encourage you guys to to definitely do your research like I did, right? But after having the problems I have, I definitely won't buy them again.
I'm with you. I have a Vizio TV. Now in my case, I bought this. My TV's got to be, man, I've had this thing 10 plus years. It was an early, it's not a huge TV, but it's like a 27-inch 720p HD TV. From back in the day. I mean, it was Sony. I think it's Vizio, and it's been great. I mean, it's been amazing. I still use it in my bedroom. But going forward, if I am going to buy another TV, Brandon, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say that your influence is already influencing me, but that's a pretty shitty thing to happen. So I'm probably going to think twice. I'm going to be like, well, if there's a fly in there or a bug, I'm going to know that Brandon.
It's like a small. It looks like a small bug too. Like, but it's not so small that you wouldn't have been able to seal against this. Like, I have to imagine, even though they say it's not a manufacturing defect, like, it should not be possible for a bug to make its way into your display.
Right. Yeah. No, definitely. All right. Well, is anybody else having any TV problems? Hopefully, any better news than the. Then I was going to say the ghost in the machine, but we know that it's a bug in the machine, unfortunately.
Well, I'm not really having any problems with video, but I am excelling in the audio department because
yes,
I
go ahead.
Dropped a CS:GO shitty rap Lil Uzi parody.
Yes, you did.
And it was quite the banger, as I'm told.
It is a banger, and I think you do disservice to yourself to call it a shitty parody. I think it's an example of how to do CS:GO parody songs the right way.
Right.
So,
okay.
No, I think it's great. Check it out. I mean, go ahead. Twitch.tv, youtube.com/KDZen18.
Yeah, one of the only things I'll even do for my YouTube anymore. No 18.
Okay.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I'm done with YouTube for sure. After, I mean, that's a whole rant in itself right there. But
you got to put yourself out there. I was didn't realize you had those skills.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm thinking of a Timmy at the Q diss track, maybe in the future, but we'll see.
Oh, I'm down. I'm down. Yeah, keep it up. So check it out. Honestly, though, if youtube.com/KDZen, check it out, audio listeners. It's flames. Trust me, you'll enjoy it. So KDZen. What about? Okay, what about you, Yang? Anything exciting?
Sort of by proxy. I've been very busy with work trying to get a bunch of things done because my vacation starts soon before I go to TwitchCon.
Yeah.
So it's mostly just been like, I don't know. It's the first time I'm experiencing that weird dichotomy of being excited for a vacation, but also dreading it because I know how much stuff will pile up while I'm gone.
Yeah.
But overall,
that's called adulthood.
That's called adulthood. Yeah.
That's the worst.
So it's been a bit of a rush, but eventually Wednesday's just going to hit, and I'm just going to have to accept the fact that I'm free for a week at least. But that's all I've been doing. Super excited for TwitchCon. It's my first time going this year, so
awesome. Yeah, it's going to be good. Exciting. We are so close. I'm be flying out on Thursday. Do you leave Thursday as well, or you said you leave Friday?
Yeah, I'm flying. I land in Cali Friday morning.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, no, it's great. I'm excited as well. As far as me for this week, the biggest thing is I finally last week. There's a lot going on, obviously, as you guys know, just at the end of the year for me. There's a baby that is going to be coming in December. Christmas Day is the due date, so we'll see when Delaney gets here. So I'm going to be having a baby. Obviously, we've got TwitchCon coming up, but then beyond that, we have to move in February, and I've been trying to decide if I was going to buy a house or we were going to rent again. And I've been renting for a long time, and I'm kind of sick of renting places. And I started doing the numbers and talking, getting my finances together and trying to talk to a couple people. And the more I looked at it, I was like, man, I just, as much as I don't really want to look to buy a house during all this other stuff going on, I don't want to rent anymore. So I decided, got pre-approved for a loan, did all the stuff, which is good. And then Tab and I have been in earnest looking for a house to buy in the area starting this week. And so it's been fun, but, buying a house, if any of you have done it already or in the process, etc., is very, stressful because you want to make sure you get the right thing. And then it's like you find something that you both agree on and enjoy. And then you're like, oh man, we'll put the offer in. And then they're like, oh, that house is gone now. It's gone, even though it was on the market for 90 days. And you're like, well, there's no way we can't get this one. So already the ups and downs of home buying, we've kind of experienced in a very short, kind of week, because we're pretty motivated. We know what we want. It's just a matter of finding it. So saw a lot of houses kind of brain dead after this week, but definitely encouraged because there's a lot of stuff in our price range that would work great for us that we want to have. It's just a matter of finding the right thing. So the biggest one was that we both found one finally that we agreed on after 3 days of just looking at so many houses, and it everything, it seemed too good to be true. And it turned out to be, because it had been on the market for 90 days. It was in a perfect neighborhood that we wanted. It had all the amenities and stuff that I really wanted, as far as backyard and all this kind of stuff. And it had the layout we needed for my office, and we could grow into the house. And we were both like, yeah, let's do it. Are we going to put an offer in on the house? And then when we went to try to get the disclosure about it, they were like, actually, we just accepted an offer literally 2 hours before you guys mentioned it. And we were like, oh my God. So anyway, I'm sure that will happen a few more times. So it's just good practice for that.
Have you run into any experiences where you went and saw a house and thought, oh my God, no?
Yes, absolutely. So there was this was the day that we had found the house that we thought we were going to put the offer in on. There was another house right after. That was the first one of the day, was the one that we both liked. We went to the second one, and the first thing that was really odd about it was the layout. So you would walk from the living room into the kitchen, which were all the same level. And then they had clearly put this addition in that was going to be the dining room or something. But the addition was a full foot and a half higher than almost 2 steps into the expansion of the house. So they never leveled the floor. So it was anytime. So I assume that was the dining room. So it's if you're carrying a tray of something, you had to constantly remember that dude, I got to take a massive step or I'm going to eat it. I was wow. Right when I saw it, I was like, that's a deal breaker. Especially if you have a kid or anyone that's prone to clumsiness. I won't name any names. But it's, you were you can't have that. And then we went upstairs, and Tab is upstairs and turns the corner, and there's this giant dead bird just in the middle of this room down the hallway. And she sees it and she's just like, oh, but okay, we're done.
Sorry, it's in the house?
Wow. It's in the house. It's just this giant dead bird.
Okay, so was it the owner of the house bringing you through, or was it a real estate agent? Who? When people are coming through your house. How do you not get rid of a dead bird?
Generally, I think when you're putting together an open house, I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know what the checklist looks like, but I'm guessing somewhere along
Dead
the line,
bird.
like make sure there's not a dead bird in an entryway or a room.
Oh shit, we forgot the bird.
Exactly.
Feels
I
like
got
that's
the
a
feeling-
checkbox.
Yeah, they're just like, no, it adds charm to the house. Yeah.
I got the feeling that this house hadn't been like maintained or looked at in a long, like maybe they had renovated it and then whoever had done it just like locked it up and hadn't shown it to anybody in a long time. But it was it was a dead, like a bird that had clearly gotten trapped in there. Like it wasn't a parrot or like a pet, but it was like a large blackbird that clearly somehow got in the house and actually died because it was trapped so long, which tells me that like there weren't many people looking at it, which is also an issue.
I mean, I guess
Where
if
you're
you
like,
did love
okay.
the rest of the house, that's pretty good leverage to put in a lowball offer and be like, look, man, your asking price
Right.
would have been fine, but you had the dead bird that, like, we
Exactly.
got to knock something off.
Yeah, that's a couple grand off at least. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was like the most kind of like where we were even like our realtor, because she was like, "What? She's like, what is going on?" So we were like, "Yeah, we'll get out of this one. We won't do that." So anyway, the search continues, and we've got some time. Like we want to try to close in December, and I don't actually have to be out till February from this place. It's just obviously like a house is the biggest financial decision for most people in their lives. So, and it will be
you already
obviously
committed
for
to
me,
one
so.
of the biggest financial decisions, so why not
Right,
double up?
Which is that's exactly right. I feel like, I mean, I turned 30 this year, and I'm buying a house, having a baby, and like anyway, there's a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, doubling down is, I was like, we might as well do it. But when I did the number, I mean, it's true. If you have the ability to do it, and again, you obviously have to get a down payment and figure that stuff out. But if you have the ability to, when I started running the numbers and like for when I'm renting to what I could be like putting that money into a mortgage, I was just like, yeah. I mean, we know the area we want to be. It became a no-brainer where it's like, I'd much rather be putting money out into and getting some equity.
Basically,
continue to
you're
rent
just
what I
paying
need to.
yourself at a certain point.
Right.
So,
Exactly. So yeah. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. But hopefully no more dead birds. And anyway, just trying to find something and not get my hopes up. Like the next house that we find that we both agree on, I'm just gonna be like, okay, let's not get hurt again. Just don't. But it's hard not to. It's like you just it's just such a, you never know what's gonna happen. So hopefully,
at least
hopefully
luckily you do have some time.
We do.
It's not. You're not in a situation where like you have to either renew your lease or
Right.
find a house really quickly. Like when there's that time pressure, I feel like that would make it a lot worse.
Exactly. Yeah. If we were like a month out or something like that, or a month and a half, and like, yeah, it probably wouldn't work. So no, definitely some time. So yeah, so that's been a lot of this week. But yeah, as far as games go, let's talk a little bit about that. What has everybody been playing? Let's start with you, Katie Zen. You look like you're ready to talk about some games.
I do.
Hit me up. You do. You just
Okay.
you gotta look about you tonight.
Okay. Well, mainly just been playing more A Hat in Time.
Mhm.
That game is still just incredible. I finished the main story of it, but I'm still trying to do like the 100% of the game. I assume there's like a different ending if you get like all the stars or like the timepieces, but I haven't really been going for the 100% yet, like too hardcore, because I've been like looking into like speedrunning it and actually been like trying the first few levels of the world over, like the first like 15 minutes of the run over and over just to get that down before moving on. So like that's been pretty fun to learn that. It's a really fun game to speedrun. Yeah, just a really great purchase on Steam. It's awesome.
Gonna be submitting that run for GDQ.
I will not.
Yeah.
No real interest in GDQ, unfortunately. But
You said you were gonna you were thinking about streaming your speedrunning attempts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have been streaming some of the attempts, and it's a good like casual thing just to stream, but I don't know if I'll get too hardcore into it.
I've never
It's
known
already
you to be a casual, Katie.
Yeah, you're pretty.
no, never.
You wanna-
It was weird. Someone in the chat said something like, "Is this your first game speedrunning?" And I initially just said yes, but I'm thinking, wait, I had the world record for BioShock Infinite Burial at Sea back in the day. It's like,
Mm.
damn,
See,
it
you've
used to
already,
be,
you've already got a pedigree, so people have
Yeah.
expectations here.
Exactly.
Yeah, I need to go hard. It's really cool because like this game being, this soon coming out, it's like you go on the speedruns website and just the first and second, third place are constantly being updated like every single day. Like it's already down to I think about 50 minutes right now. So it's
Where are you at on the leaderboard?
I have not finished a run.
Okay. So it's work in progress then.
Still working on it.
Yeah, right now just learning all the levels, like the actual route itself, and just like practicing.
I mean, you don't want to tip your hand too quickly, right? If first, second, third, if they're all competing, you just want to, eventually you come from behind, surprise them all.
Exactly. Yeah, I sneak around, I learn from the best, and then I jump in and show them who's boss. Yeah. No real work done on my part. I let everyone else throughout the game, and then I just watch the video. That sounds really scumbaggy, but no.
You're just perfecting what everyone else is doing. So you're coming in. You're like Apple, right? You wait until everyone else fights out the new technology, and then you just come in and you just perfect it. You bring it to the masses.
Oh my God, a run's never been done like this. Unbelievable. Thing is, I have to think of a skip and just not tell anybody until I perfect the game, and just like wait until I'm, he's about to get world record, 1,000 viewers. Hold on, bitches. Wall skip through the entire level, minus 10 minutes on the record. Damn. Unbelievable.
Could be you if you just stick with it, man. Don't be a casual kid. You got it.
Oh, no, never.
I believe in you.
No, of course not. Other than that, just more Dark Souls 3, getting back into that, making a new character. I played some Unfortunate Spacemen with APL, a bunch of people. And Ying also for the first time.
Yeah.
The game is really, really fun. I felt like when I started playing that, I could like play it for just hours and hours. It was really good.
Nice. I'm glad you had fun. Yeah, that game is.
Yeah, I played
to be good.
Yeah, it is really fun. And then I also played a couple of games of, I don't know if it was this week or last week that I played some CS:GO, and wanted to make the ultimate choice. But
I think that was this past week, and
okay.
Scott put the cherry on top of your experience.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
I felt bad. Okay, so we played. So what had happened? We were playing. I convinced you to play some CS:GO against your better judgment. I think your idea, you had said, I'm having a good day so far, so why not screw it up? And I was like, well,
right, yeah,
it won't be that bad. And we got on our Smurfs, and
yeah.
The
first couple games were fun. I mean, they weren't. What am I saying? The first couple games, I instantly sink into agony.
Katie Sen has this trajectory when it comes to CS:GO. Okay, you guys can't see him right now, but he's starting. Let's say he's starting on a level playing field. Let's say he doesn't get a kill in the first round. He goes from neutral to straight down into the gutter, I feel like you are so. And then you just start tilting, and you're basically you're like digging through the center of the tilt earth until you're on the other side of the globe. So it was a tilting day, to be fair. None of us were playing very well, and it so happened that we were playing Overpass, which is a map you don't really like anyway, and it was not going well. We were getting destroyed. We were losing close rounds. And Katie was making comments as we were playing, like, I don't think I can actually mentally do this anymore. Like, I'm going to have to leave the game. Like, he was getting so frustrated.
Yeah.
And so, of course, chat loves to hear that, because that means that there's a really tilting opportunity. So, and I'm kind of enjoying, like, for me, it's easier. Like, when I'm playing an account, like, that's whatever, it's just, I'm having fun with it. I'm laughing. I mean, I want to win. I'm getting frustrated too, but it's not too bad. But Katie's really tilted. Well, I get a donation that says with, I think it was like 500 bits or something like that, and it was like
it was 200. You did it for $2.
Was it 200? I don't know if it was 200, maybe, but it was like kill KD, and I was like, man. So on one end, I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to hit out for KD. He's already so downtrodden, and KD doesn't trust me in that game, and so it's also a level of trust betrayal for me to do something and then kill him. Yeah. But I was like, man, you know what? This game's lost anyway, whatever. So I tell him it's a round. Katie said has a scout. And I tell him, I said, Katie, come over here. Come stand. We're on Overpass on T-side. I said, come here and stand above ladder. And we're going to try a new strat. And I want you to come over here and I want you to look down ladder and try to snipe the guy coming up. And Katie Zen is so confused. He's like, oh, this is I've never done this one before. This is such a weird strat. And I'm standing there with the sawed-off shotgun. And Katie Zen is so innocent. He's looking down. He's like, what are we doing here?
What kind of play is this?
He's like, what play is this? And I'm like, stop moving, Katie. Stop moving so much. And he's like, okay. And he stops moving. And I line up the shot. And I just like, oh, am I going to do this? And then I just pull the trigger and I blow the poor boy's brains out. And as soon as I did it, of course I laughed really hard, which is really messed up. But then the remorse took me. And Katie was basically, he was like, what? And then he just logged off, closed the game, disappeared out of Discord.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh boy.
Oh man, I was unhappy.
There's a clip out there floating around of it, and it's pretty funny, but I did feel bad. It was so brutal because of how trusting you were towards me. That's what really, honestly, the money wasn't worth it because you were just so betrayed. You were like,
yeah, the faith I put into you is just, I don't know if I could play. I don't think I can take your call outs really seriously anymore.
I know. I betrayed your trust, dude. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it was 600. It was 600, by the way, total, that Raj.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It may have been 200 at one point, but he did donate.
Well, now I know the price for my companionship.
$6.
That's nice to know.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it made a very hilarious clip. And so,
it was a very funny clip, but I do apologize for that. Katie said, and then the best part is she went on Twitter. He just disappeared, and then he pops up on Twitter, and his tweet is just simply "Life is pain." I think that's the only thing Katie said tweeted.
Yeah, that was it.
Life is pain, and I was like, oh
man, that was
taking this hard.
I wanted to uninstall that game so badly. I mean, I'm gonna keep it around, like. For commentating, but oh my god, I don't know if I can play CS anymore. I mean, not to mention after the 10-game grind, getting silver 1.
Yeah, that also
that harsh reality. I'm a silver 1 player, so yeah. I mean, oh, there it is. It's in chat. Excellent. Oh my god.
It's so
I went to my browser and I tried to type in the URL for the clip, and the clip that came up was the clip of Ying getting jump scared, and so that noise just played in my ears. Yeah. Oh man.
I am so sorry. There is a small bit of vindication for that particular moment, because by virtue of it getting shared, other people are getting scared by it because it is so loud.
Yeah, it just spreads.
All right. So yeah, Katie's end not the best with CS, but some good times with A Hat in Time and the other game. So I'm glad. Did you experience anything on this level of betrayal, Yang, for your gaming, or did you just have a good gaming week? Hopefully.
No, I actually haven't had too much time for games. I have been trying. I don't know what inspired me to do this. I've been playing World of Warplanes, the free to play.
I saw that today. You were saying that.
And I just don't know if I've ever played such a mediocre game. It's not bad. It's just, I don't know. I have no strong opinions on it, which I guess means it fails as a game. But, I mean, it's one of those games where it's free to play. You're trying to do your thing, and someone is in the lobby with this absolute fortress of a plane that you just absolutely cannot touch. So in that sense, it's not that great. And it also has this weird gameplay mechanic where if you're playing the objective, eventually people can't respawn. And I guess it's just meant to keep the game from going on forever. But if you eliminate all of the other enemy players when they can't respawn, you automatically win. The problem is that the respawn time stops before you have a chance to complete the objective. So what ends up happening is you'll have a team playing the objective, dominating absolutely every point on the map, and then the other team will just kill everyone else near the end of the game and win that way. And so it feels like a waste of time sometimes, but I mean, I think I don't know. It's not the worst game ever, but I don't think it's really worth downloading. And that's what I've been doing with my time.
Yeah, I was just going to say. So you have no strong opinions. You have some negative opinions, but you're like, hey, I'm still playing it. So.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me.
Ying's playing it so you don't have to.
Yeah, pretty much.
Other than that, it's just been a little bit of Counter-Strike. I played Unfortunate Spaceman with you guys this past Friday. So nothing too exciting. Literally nothing exciting, because apparently the game that's worth my time is what I describe as the most mediocre game I've ever downloaded.
There you go. Okay. What about you, Barndor? What you been playing?
I've just been. I wanted to play. I feel like I've kind of missed out on these open betas that keep happening. So I had downloaded the Call of Duty open beta like 2 weeks ago or whenever it happened, and I was gonna play that. I was actually gonna play with KD. His internet went out, so I didn't play with him. And I didn't realize how long it was going on. And by the time the next weekend rolled around, the beta's over. So I had downloaded it. And of course now, we all have internet caps. So I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I just downloaded like this, 20 gig download or whatever, and then just straight up deleted it because it's not active anymore. and then I was gonna try out the Battlefront 2 open beta. So I literally had to update Origin. I found out Battlefield 1 was very out of date, so I was like, whatever, I'll just keep that updated if I ever decide to play that again. Downloaded like I don't know how big it was, like 50, 60 gigs or something. The open beta for Battlefront 2 was. And I discovered when I went to maybe try that out yesterday, that is over too. So just deleted that off my hard drive. So I've downloaded like 100 gigs worth of just garbage. I have just spent 100 gigs of my data cap on open betas that I have actually missed the time to play. Man. And then I wanted to try and play the Fortnite Battle Royale mode, but I discovered that for some reason I don't know the password to my Epic Games account because, of course, Epic Games has their own launcher. And so I type in my my information to get a new password. No email. Just doesn't send an email. So I can't log into the Epic Games launcher and try Fortnite.
Oh my god!
You're just having a rough. My goodness.
Yeah. So it's been kind of start and stop. So the only thing I've really played, I played some PUBG last night with John, and I don't know if we've just been playing against like more skilled players. I don't know if maybe the ELO system or something is putting us into some higher tier games than I'm used to. But we just have not gotten a good string of games. And like the closest we got last night was I think there were like 6 left, including us. So there were two other teams. And we're in the circle, right? We have good position, good gear and everything. We're right in the circle, paying a lot of attention. Obviously, there's only 2 groups left. We're toward the edge of the circle, and all of a sudden, we both just die immediately to another team prone right behind us. So I don't know if they were prone the whole time and they were just sort of biding their time, waiting to line up their shot, or if somehow we couldn't hear them until they got close enough to prone. Anyway, I was kind of tilted after that because we were surveying the entire perimeter except like literally right behind us, right next to the blue, and somehow the team behind us came up and shot us prone. So I haven't tasted chicken in much longer than I would have liked. So that's I need to find something to temper out my gaming, because PUBG, like the stress rises with each game that I don't get a dinner. The stress rises, so I'm feeling the pressure. PUBG. You're like, you're Brandon. You've been just edging and edging and edging for that chicken dinner, and you need to put that gravy all over. You need to baste that turkey in gravy and get one. And you got at some point you got to have release.
You gotta have the release. Exactly. I couldn't have said it better. You need that release, man. Well, all right, dude. I hope it works. Yeah, that's rough. Also, yeah, it's not also uncharacteristic of you to be showing up. You're a very punctual person, very organized. So for you to be showing this late, up this late to all these betas and stuff like that is surprising.
Yeah, I know. It's mostly just because I feel like I hear about them, and we had talked about the Battlefront 2 beta on the cast, and so I thought, okay, I'll download this and give it a try. But I keep forgetting that they're just very short time windows, and so by the time we're talking about it, the beta might be close to over. And so I haven't been paying attention to the timing, I mostly want to try this stuff with friends, right? Like I was going to play the Call of Duty beta with KD. I mean, why am I going to play it by myself?
Yeah, no.
Right. So yeah, I've just it's not a huge priority for me, but yeah, I was just gonna offhandedly try the Battlefront beta because you guys said it looked really pretty. I was like, okay, cool, I'll try it on my new monitor, whatever. But I missed my opportunity. So
hey, Brandon, much like you, I've also been hurt by Katie. Let me tell you a story. I think I've told this before, but there was this one time where I was gonna play Uncharted multiplayer
God.
with Katie Zen, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, I'll be on for sure, dude." And I hooked my PS4 up, and I updated the game, and I just got shit on for about 2.5 hours solo. So you made a wise decision not to play it by yourself, because the scarring and the ass beating I took at Uncharted, I was like, I will never play this game again. So, listen, Katie's in. He has a bit of a history with not showing up. And again, this time it does sound like Katie, your internet was out. That's fine. In my case, I don't believe your internet was out.
Now that you mention this, though, I mean, how do I know his internet was out?
Oh my!
You know, that's
I don't know.
As it turns out, that would have been an awfully convenient excuse.
Oh my!
To not play with you.
I don't know that we literally, this was after the podcast, so you know, no internet problems magically for hours beforehand.
Oh my God. There's nothing I can say. There's nothing I can say right now.
No,
man. I just have a history of letting people down. That's all I can say.
It's not. I mean, just in this one particular area, I do feel like.
Well, no, but something tells me there's actually like it's not. It's like it's something you're intending to do. Like there's this devious part of your personality that actually just wants to see us suffer.
You want to see this?
That's just not true.
Okay,
that's not true.
I wouldn't expect you to acknowledge it.
Yeah. All right, Brandon. Well, I'm sorry it was a tough week for you. I'll go real quick and then we'll jump into some news here. But I've been playing a lot of the normal stuff. I played Spaceman and stuff. That was a good time. But one that was somewhat of a departure from normal. So recently I tried to start picking up FIFA and then kind of gave up because of how terrible it was on Origin, or at least Origin, the way Origin interacted with some EA Sports games I don't like. So I was like, man, I want to play a sports game. And I used to really like basketball, sports games, and Sims. So I picked up NBA 2K18 and for $60. Okay. I didn't get a key, bought it for $60, just like everybody else, against the thousands and thousands of negative reviews on Steam, which said, this is one of the most money-hungry cash grabs we've ever seen here, compared to even the game in the 2K17. And I was like, and I'm reading these things. I'm reading things about unskippable cutscenes that push the game over 2 hours, so you can't refund it on Steam. I'm like, wow, that's pretty. Wow, that's pretty scummy. I can't believe that. Nah, that can't be real. But I was like, maybe. They were like, basically, you pay $60 and then they instantly push the currency in the game, which is called VC, which is how you level your player up and get better and all this stuff. They were like, you basically
venture capital. I love when video games are financially
exactly
accurate.
And so anyway, despite all of that, I was like, I don't care. I just want to play a basketball game, and I don't really want to buy it on console. So I buy it, and I mean, it doesn't really matter where you buy it because it would be the same thing. And I load it up, and I do the My Player mode, which is where you scan your face into the game. It's kind of cool, and then you go through your career and try to build your player up from a low rating. And the first thing that really does, I think the actual amount of gameplay I played in the first 2.5 or 3 hours of the game, like of actual basketball, compared to the amount of unskippable cutscenes, was like, maybe 15 to 20 minutes, probably less, maybe 15 minutes of actual gameplay of basketball, and about 2 to 2.5 hours of unskippable cutscenes. I mean, they had to know what they were doing with the Steam refund policy. I mean, honestly, because that was one of the biggest things people said is once we started getting into it, it's like you can't, and during the cutscenes, man, you can't hit start, you can't hit anything. You can't skip it. It gives you no options. If you get to certain parts, it'll tell you if you go back, you will lose all your progress up until this point. So they basically put the gun to your head and are like, you're getting through this 2 hours of movies, or you're gonna have to restart the whole thing. And it's crazy. And so that was one of the most unforgivable things I've seen in a long time. And then when it comes to like grinding your player and all that stuff, right off the bat, you realize like, wow, it's gonna take a long time for my player to get decent at all if I just like, do the different practices you can do and then play the games. Right off the bat, you go in, you have access to be able to buy the currency in the game in all different kinds of increments. One of them was, I think, $100 pack you could buy, which would really get your player leveled up pretty well. And again, I have no problems with this if this was a game that was free to play, or even a game that was like 10 or 15 bucks and it was a low asking price. And it's like, okay, yeah, you can grind. It's going to take a while, or you can spend a little bit of money and try, just like any free to play and have an advantage or save some time. And despite all of that, I'm having a hell of a lot of fun with it. I like the actual game itself is really like, at least for me, I haven't played a basketball sim in a long time. It's pretty unforgiving. It's not an arcadey game. There's a lot to learn about the way the gameplay mechanics work, and I'm enjoying like even how shitty and horribly the game's written. It's like every buzzword you can ever imagine. It's like a script written by people that got rejected from writing Life is Strange copy, if you can imagine that. No joke. But trying to be hip, trying to be more hip. It's crazy. It's horrible, but it's kind of charming for stream because of how terrible it is.
How many times in the first 2.5 hours did you hear the word fam?
Fam. Oh, a ton. And all the character arcs, like your best friend in the game is this like eccentric Asian chick named B, and she talks like she's from the ghetto, and she just uses one. It's I can't even. It's so pandering and terrible. And apparently that's just the way in general that all of these kind of 2K games go. So this was my first one, so I wasn't used to it. But I mean, it's like, how does this shit get approved? Are they trying to be this terrible? Maybe. I don't know. You can't really figure it out. But yeah, her name's B. And anyway, despite all of that, I'm still having a good time. And I made a promise on stream because everyone was like, dude, you just got to buy VC. I'm like, I just paid fucking $60. I'm not going to instantly pay money so that I can have a better gameplay experience, because that's basically what, I mean, it's not required, but unless you're really, really good at the game off the bat and you really know what you're doing, even then there's only a certain amount of VC that you're going to be able to garner because your player's just not good. He's a level 60, or I mean, you can get a little bit higher, maybe you get 62 or 63, but you're in the 60s off of the bat, and there's just not many options other than grinding it out and playing games and doing these drills. And it's crazy. It's crazy, but I'm still playing it. And the promise I made, I said to chat, I said, I will never purchase VC. I said, quote me on it now. I don't care how grindy it gets. I don't care if I have to play this game for 300 hours. I'm never going to pay for the in-game currency to get a leg up. So that's where we are now. I played more today. I'm enjoying it. But it really is as bad as the Steam reviews say. And I can understand why people have such vitriol for 2K and what they've done, because I can't think of another more obvious horrible cash grab. I mean, we're even surpassing like Call of Duty levels of them saying they weren't ever going to have crates with guns that had, different stats in them to give people an advantage, and then they did that. Like it's a total cash. It's beyond a cash grab. It's like, and then, I mean, what do you guys think? Like thinking about making unskippable cutscenes for 2 hours, like that has to be geared. That has to be geared towards
what I was wondering is that I'm wondering if you're actually doing yourself somewhat of a favor here with the gameplay, because a lot of people, and I was in your stream, and you had a lot of people who I guess are more familiar with these NBA or the 2K games, saying, oh, dude, just buy VC, you'll get more minutes, your player will be so much better, you can score all these baskets. But I'm wondering if actually you're having a better experience, because with your low-rated character and how much more difficult it is to do things in game, it adds so much more significance, it seems, to when you do things like get an assist or make a good pass, or even just like move the ball well. Because like, I mean, when you have these people who are just immediately buying the virtual currency, getting a player that is stacked and just scoring point after point after point after point because they just want to have a really, built character.
Right.
How much longer is that game really going to last for them, given that they just paid for an all-star? You are somehow deriving significance from the things that they will find trivial in the game. I'm wondering if that's what's redeeming the game for you a little bit.
That's actually this is why I love you, Yang, because that's 100%. Every time I do anything remotely not terrible in that game with that player, I feel like I get that same kind of little brain like ding of like, oh my god, that was super satisfying. Like having a game, like I've had one game so far. My Sixers are 9-1 right now. We got robbed, but we're 9-1. And I had one game where I got an A- because it rates everything you do, and you get basically a letter grade at the end of the game, how many points, whatever, all that stuff. And I got an A-, and I felt more accomplished getting an A- with that character, having been new to the series, than I probably would have felt. I mean, not to compare it to, not to say this is the Dark Souls of sports sims, because I know you love that. But it really, like, I felt like I had beaten, like I'd gotten to a certain point, like I'd beaten a boss, the same kind of like holy shit, okay, I did something decent with this player, and it was like a good performance. So no, I totally agree. I do think in the long run, as grindy as it is, my issue is that they offer that at all as an option.
Right. Yeah.
Like
no. And so
they should eliminate that until like maybe you're a certain level, or you've been playing the game for a certain amount of time. And they're like, hey, dude, like the Mortal Kombat fatality coins you could buy, right? Instead of hitting the button combinations. Like if you've been playing 2K for like, let's say you've been playing for 10 hours, and they're like, all right, dude, you haven't really progressed. Here, you can spend some money and we'll give you some points to try to make it easier. But of course, that doesn't help. I mean, they don't want to stop themselves from making cash. So I understand why they don't do it. But I totally agree. Like not deciding to just throw money in and just get a god player, you really do appreciate the grind a lot more. And
not only that, I mean, aside from how hilarious it was to watch you go through 2 hours of unskippable cutscenes, only to finally end up in a game and it immediately puts you on the bench.
I had one of the games. My character was so low rated because you make the team and all this stuff. I had a game where I literally, because you sit on the bench and you hit A to skip to where they put you in the game. I hit A twice. So the first one was I was on the bench. I hit it. It was halftime. I was like, okay, I didn't get any play time. I hit A again, and it's like game over. I'm like,
oh my god!
It was like my third game or something. They gave me no time. It was.
But then leading into that, how much significance your first shift had on the court.
It was
you got into the game pressure. And you actually did nothing. You got the ball, I think, once and made a good pass.
That was
but like that upped your rating, and you thought, and on stream, I think it's still in the VOD. It'll say it's you being excited that you got time. You got minutes on the court, and that person who bought $100 worth of virtual currency is never going to experience that excitement.
That's actually a really good point. No, that's a really good point. I totally
the unskippable cutscenes. What? I guess I wouldn't have even thought that was really a thing you would see in sports games. Like, why would I want cutscenes to take up that much time, and then being unskippable on top of that seems especially egregious. But I would question, why are there that many cutscenes in a sports game to begin with?
Right.
Exactly. No, I totally agree. And I also was watching, like, Goldlove was playing through it's the same thing with the Madden, my player or whatever, the same equivalent. Like I watched him play it for like 2 hours, and he pretty much like watched a movie for 2 hours through like 3 passes, and it was the same thing. And he was like, what is that? Like, when did sports games become? And I think it's also the mode. Like, you can still do stuff like you can do play now. You can play. You can do other modes, but really, what people want to do is they want to develop the my player stuff. And that cutscene is just that. All that's part of how you develop your player. So yeah, it really has shifted from what it used to be. It's so different. So there you go. But yeah, so again, despite
Scott, what they're telling you is, I think they actually intend for this. So over time, this series will skew to be more and more of a simulation game. And they're basically saying, look, if you want to have an all-star on your team, you've got to pull out your pocketbook, your real one, we really do in the NBA.
Right. That's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah. Maybe they're just going for the ultimate sim. That's a good point. That's a counter argument to mine that, like, this is shameless. They're like, not really. It's like, you're either going to grind or you're going to pay even more money to.
It's called a genre pivot. Thanks.
Wow. Oh man, that's great. So that's basically what I've been playing. Let's real quick check out before we jump into some news here. And this first news article is very spicy, so don't go anywhere. But we got to talk about real quick what's been going on in KBMOD, and there is a Battle Chasers Night War review up on the website, of course, kbmod.com. Subtext: a wonderful throwback to old school RPGs, and this is by our very own Tim Stefanu. He's got a video review on there, so check it out. Again, kbmod.com. Always some good content, generally on any given week. Check out the articles, check out the build guides, reviews, get it involved in the forums, check out the merch, use the multi-stream, lots of little options.
Speaking of the build guides, I was actually thinking about putting together new ones, but we talked about the new 8700K is out. But as far as I can tell so far, it's been completely out of stock. like since it has launched.
Really?
People have been complaining about basically like it more or less being a paper launch because there's no stock anywhere. So I'm kind of holding off on new build guides because I don't want to put in a chip that like no one can even get anyway.
Okay, and I just was reminded from chat. I would be totally remiss. I don't know how I forgot about that. There's been a lot going on this week. I don't know if you ever heard of this game, but I remember a while ago I'd seen somebody playing this game called Emily is Away, which is basically a narrative game that is you've been told through AOL Instant Messenger and that era of time. And so I looked it up and I was like, man, this would be fun to kind of play through because there's two games. There's one that's free and it takes like an hour, hour and a half. And then there was a follow-up called Emily's Away 2, spelled T-O-O, that is like $5. And I was like, whatever, I'll buy that. The reviews for it are fantastic. Like, people are like, this, you got to play this. It's incredible. Especially if you grew up during the era of AOL Instant Messenger, which of course we talked about ad nauseum last week. Well, I have to say, I think my favorite experience of gaming-wise that I can think of in the last year or two has been playing through Emily is Away and Emily is Away 2, and I never thought I would say that. The dude that created that game lived and breathed in just everything that we talked about, and he wrote an incredible script. I mean, I don't really want to spoil it because you should just play it, but I don't even really know what to say. Like, it is an emotional roller coaster, and it does all the things that games like Life is Strange don't actually do well, but just try to fake that they do well. He does it all without any of the fanfare, without any fancy graphics, just with a really brilliant UI. You get a couple options. You basically get 3 answers you can always do. There's branching narratives and different endings to the game. I cannot recommend. I won't say too much more. But Emily's Away 2. Do yourself a favor, just if you have some time, if you have a block of time on like a Saturday, and even if you didn't grow up, because I was saying people that were saying that they never used AIM were still like really loving the game and how well made it was. But Brandon, I would love you to play it and tell me that because music wise, it's all the music that we grew up with too. He even recreates like Facebook from back in the day when it first started coming up. The You're the Man Now dog links, the YTMD, all of that stuff is in the second game, kind of leans in a lot more to all of that stuff, but it's an incredible experience. So it's really worth it. Yeah. And the second game is $5. You don't have to play the first game to play the second game. But it can give you a little bit of context, but yeah, fantastic.
Okay. That definitely sounds like I should try it out.
Yeah. It's awesome. So, anyway, just wanted to say that real quick as kind of like a weird game that I didn't expect to be so good. So, all right, let's move on from weird games that are great and surprising to weird moves by companies that for me are weird, but exciting and surprising. All right, that was that. All right. That was rough.
Let's forget about a hard cut next time.
Oh yeah, I'll cut it out, and then actually, does somebody want to segue real quick, and I'll just cut out my segue.
Speaking of video games, there it is.
That's a very poignant transition. My goodness.
You can't say it's not applicable though.
True.
Or applicable, not applicable. Fuck. So, Epic Games.
Yeah, go ahead. Lead us in, KD. Lead us in. I know you are our foremost legal expert, and that's actually why we selected this story.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Let the most qualified to be an attorney take this, being myself. So, Epic Games. We're all familiar with Fortnite, which has come under fire from some PUBG fans that claim the game's been, blatantly or not blatantly kind of ripping off the formula of PUBG. But regardless of all that, Epic Games has actually filed a lawsuit against 2 cheaters in Fortnite. And I'm going to let one of you guys take this because I didn't read up too much on the story.
Well, all right. At least
in the most professional way possible, I'm going to pass this off to somebody else.
All right. Well, the rundown of what happened here is that Epic has been dealing with sort of an outbreak of cheaters in the past couple of weeks. It's been something that's actually been killing their player base a little bit with how rampant cheating has been. Obviously, Fortnite Battle Royale is free to play, so that contributes to the problem a little bit. Amongst their efforts to take down cheaters, they seem to have taken it one step further against 2 particular, I guess, cheat distributors. They name they named the offenders. Not only have they been trying to ban players from playing Fortnite if they are cheating, but it looks like they have now also filed under a DMCA a lawsuit against two people who are apparently distributing cheats for Fortnite Battle Royale. Now, why this is interesting is because the way that this is the first time I've ever heard of a company citing DMCA as a lawsuit against cheaters. And so I'm wondering if they've genuinely done this out of a need to protect the code of their game, or if they're viewing it as sort of a technicality by which they can punish these cheaters further than the typical banning methods. So the general gist of it is that these two cheaters had altered the code of the Battle Royale or Fortnite Battle Royale, and in doing so have violated the trademark protected code of the game. So even though, and as a result, they're distributing an altered version of Fortnite Battle Royale, which violates the DMCA. And as a result, they're able to file their lawsuit. It's just interesting in that whether or not you think this is something that they have actually viewed as an extra step to take against cheaters as an extra step of punishment, or if they're genuinely interested in protecting their code, or if it's probably just both. Right. But it shows nonetheless that Epic Games is very committed to the idea of taking down cheaters to a point where they're actually pursuing legal action against two people that they've identified as distributing cheating methodologies.
Right. Yeah, because it goes beyond just like, again, they named in the suit the fact that they're part of addictedcheats.net. They're like a support person, moderator, members of this. You know, they're saying that elevates the case beyond simple cheating and all. And for me, again, like I was saying this in the pre-show, but I mean, it's a little bit extreme. I don't know if all cheaters should be marched out to the middle of the road and shot. That's a little extreme. But I like harsh penalties for people that ruin other people's experiences with cheating, especially in a multiplayer game. So I'm all for them going after these guys like this, and especially with a community that like works and builds themselves around cheats, and especially paying for these premium services or whatever else. I can't think of like you're saying, Yang, I don't really know of another time. In the article, they talk about how Blizzard had an $8.6 million win for against Bossland, which was the maker of the BuddyBot software, which I'm not as familiar with. I'm assuming that's in regards to World of Warcraft.
Yeah, that was a World of Warcraft bot.
That was a World of Warcraft thing, and it's not the exact same thing, I don't think. But I mean, it's cheating, right? Was it just?
Yeah, it was automating a bunch of tasks that
right.
you couldn't do in the game itself. Basically, leveling up characters, farming gold, things like that.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, Blizzard has taken a pretty harsh stance against that stuff in the past, and I think this looks to me like it's really just Epic trying to take a stand. Like it's I'm a little surprised that they're suing two individual people that I guess maybe run this Addicted Cheats website, or just I can't really tell, but they're like some way involved in the operation of the site and the distribution of those cheats. It's probably a hell of a deterrent to anyone who wants to work on the business of cheats to see two people, get personally identified and sued, because like they have the only way this ends is with them settling or something and basically saying we'll never work with this site again. It's not worth ruining your life over. So it sends a pretty strong message that Epic takes seriously anyone working on cheats. And they have the means to make your life really, really problematic if you decide to get involved in the cheating community. And so I imagine they probably wouldn't go after like the people just downloading cheats, but if they can, it seems like this is maybe a shot across the bow that if they can identify you, which it seems like they were able to do in these two cases, like they were able to identify the real people behind these aliases and serve them with legal notice. Like you would start being really worried if you were on any of those sites, right? Because if they could somehow tie it back to your real name or something, if they can identify you and you live in the US, they can sue you. So unless you live overseas where it may be a little more difficult for them to get you via the law, if you live in the US, like I think Epic's trying to say you cheat at your own risk.
Yeah. It definitely sends a message like, oh shit. Especially imagine if you're on that site and you were fucking around with either of those guys or using anything in Fortnite, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm not sleeping well tonight. Hopefully they don't go after everybody that used it or whatever. But yeah. I don't know.
Once people get identified for real and this becomes, something they have to actually respond to, or there's real life consequences, as it turns out, I imagine these cheaters will stop. And so it's really mostly a deterrent, and I'm sure they're pretty happy that this got a news article. I wouldn't be surprised if they seeded the news article themselves.
That's what we were talking about in the pre-show. Like, again, Fortnite, when it comes to, I mean, PUBG had all that PR nightmare and gave Fortnite a lot more noise than they really probably originally deserved. But again, I think this is probably, like you said, just more opportunity for PR.
I think they want to be known as, in the gaming world, like they want to be known as a game not to touch with cheats, right? Because like the people creating cheats, they can choose from all sorts of games. They're basically probably just going to keep up with whichever games are popular. That's what they're going to make cheats for, so that they can make money off of them. Exactly. But I think Epic wants to say, don't bother creating cheats for our games, because we'll come after you legally, and it will have been wasted time.
Exactly. Yeah, I think best case scenario, like you said, people are just gonna be like, yeah, it's not worth it in Fortnite, it's too risky, we'll just move on to something else, like where people don't care at all, like Counter-Strike Global Offensive. So again, we'll probably just we'll not that they're already writing stuff for that, but we'll probably just get more. So okay, yeah, there you go. But interesting. We'll have to follow that and see if they actually win their case, or like what ends up happening if it's thrown out, or if they are able to prove their case and whatever, sue for damages or whatever else. So I'm not even going to read the title of this next article because it triggered me, Brandon. So would you read this and go ahead and frame it in a more positive way?
I'll try and protect your psyche.
Thank you.
So there's a recent report, which again, I guess we'll dig into this, but it is just one report from a specific company. So when I was looking at this article, I couldn't believe some of the claims that were being made, and we don't necessarily know all of the details of the methodology and everything, but there's a new report it's from Digital River, gamesindustry.biz, about a news article about this. But games as a service and sort of associated with that, the concept of loot boxes, have quote, tripled the industry's value. So the claim being made is that these loot boxes have tripled the value of the gaming industry, which seems crazy to me. Like, I know loot boxes of, obviously, it is a lot of money, right? And especially, I'm sure Overwatch and the League of Legends and other games where, especially like free to play or games that have a very healthy cosmetic ecosystem, they make a lot of money from that. But triple the industry's value, that is pretty crazy to me, because it's not like the gaming industry has been big for a while now, and loot boxes, I feel like, have really only come into the picture in probably the last 4 years, maybe. Like, it hasn't been very long. So for that to have such an outsized effect on the entire industry is kind of surprising to me, because there are so many games that have no concept of these loot boxes, right? Like indie games and things. Like, there are so many games that come out that just, like, we're really talking about a small subset of games that even include these loot boxes and that sort of thing on top of a base price.
Right.
So it's interesting. The report basically says that, like, people are choosing games that have a stream of new content, and then in a lot of cases they're willing to pay for that new content. And so I think, going back to Overwatch, that's like the prime example I see. That you look at Overwatch, and Overwatch really has this stream of new stuff coming out, right? It's like, if you want to own all the skins, if you want to own everything, if you want to own 100% of the content that comes out, that is constantly a moving target, because they have the new Halloween skins, then they have the Christmas skins, and like, they're always doing little events, seasonal things. And like, I think that's an example of a good ecosystem. Like, I have no problem with the players that want to buy cosmetics sort of funding ongoing development for people that already bought the game and don't want to pay for that stuff. I think that's pretty healthy. But you know, like you talked about with NBA 2K and some other games, like there are some really bad examples of loot boxes where you do feel like maybe the games industry is just sort of trying to take advantage of people more than in the past. But I mean, at the end of the day, people are spending more on games. Like the industry has gone way up, and a big piece of that is the idea of like loot boxes and sort of games as a service. So, what do you guys think?
For me, the reason I got triggered because I read this as microtransactions and DLC have made video game makers way fucking richer. Yes, you know, like I didn't put the triple divide because this is more scientific, like, but I read it as like a no duh. But you're right, there's more nuance to it and stuff like that. And there are, of course, I think there are games that do microtransactions well, and I think there's games that do it very poorly. And again, like I think 2K18 again comes to mind as an example of a $60 game that then really penalizes you for playing it the way that, you know, they should. If they want an even playing field, they shouldn't allow you to be able to spend additional money to just cheat till the end of the game. But like, I don't agree with that idea. So it's like, I'd say that's a poor idea. But I mean, we've been in this for so long, right? That like, of course, the reason that we're seeing a total shift over the last 10 years of how games are purchased and content is made. It's like, I mean, I guess just seeing seeing it triple, like you said, Brandon, that is a pretty crazy number to say triple. I don't know if I would have guessed that, but
yeah. And
it's like, they're making a shit ton of money. Of course, that's why it continues to happen.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of the games, I think, I definitely have. I'm actually glad that that games that are, you know, free to play are making up more and more. You know, if the industry is tripling in value because we have more free to play games coming out and those games are successful, but the barrier to entry is lower. Like, I think that's generally a very positive trend. But the worrying trend, which I feel like we talk about in a lot of different instances, and the 2K one seems pretty egregious. Is that more and more you see these, you know, $60 titles or $50 titles or whatever it is, right? Probably $40 to $60 titles, or and then turning into a sort of microtransaction economy on top of that. So it's like, it feels a little bit like there are some games where they want to have their cake and eat it too. But what I pull from this report is that is working.
Right.
Like, that unfortunately that seems to be a trend that people are just responding to by paying more, which I guess, you know, is that's worrying because I'm not personally one of those people. Like, I don't buy a ton of $60 games to begin with, but I don't think I've actually ever bought a $60 game and then also spent money on top of that. Like, I personally have not done it, but a lot of people do. And if that's the way that the gaming market grows, that doesn't feel necessarily healthy to me, because it makes me worry about the incentives that designers will put into games. Like, like the example you're talking about with 2K, this came up recently with Shadow of War. Like, there's microtransaction stuff in Shadow of War, and like in Forza, there's like been some high profile releases recently where they have, you know, you have to wonder, like, is this game maybe a little grindier because I could always pay for the, you know, the box or whatever, the currency, to make this go faster? Like, did they choose to make it more of a grind because that's an option and they want to frustrate me a little bit? And you always have that in the back of your mind, where before you would never have to worry about that. You could always trust that the designers had your best intent in mind, right? The best gameplay experience. But now they sort of maybe have to serve two masters of gameplay experience, but also maybe they want to make it a little bit longer than they used to, because you could either grind for it or you could just pay us a little more money. And that's kind of a worrying trend from my perspective.
Katie, Yingity, any thoughts?
I don't have any necessarily strong opinions on it. I mean, it's not that it's a new concept, and at the end of the day, like, if this is, I don't know if this is actually even contributing to like a more I'm being very optimistic, but does it contribute to a more stable, I don't know, game economy, so to speak, where developers are now able to sink more money into their next game? I mean, maybe it's just it's an easier development process for them. So I get why it's happening. But as we've seen, depending on the game, it can be done very well and it can be done to a point of abuse. So I'm not sure that as a blanket concept, I'm against microtransactions in DLC, because we've seen them done well, we've seen them done poorly. I think it's more of a case by case discussion.
Yeah, I agree completely. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, there you go. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. So regardless of our opinion, whether you like it or not, I guess again, like you said, if it's a matter of voting with your wallet, that's really all you can do. But the trend is here to stay. And
reports like this will, if anything, I think will fuel more of this behavior. Like, I don't think we've seen the most egregious examples yet, because it's pretty clear that, like, our opinions, I think, are in the minority. Like, we're paying attention to games on a level that a lot of people don't, and so I can't relate to, you know, maybe a young kid who gets NBA 2K for his birthday,
right?
You know, and then just his, you know, demands, you know, just like throws a fit because he can't get his character to where he wants or whatever, and so his parents buy him, you know, the $100 pack of currency. You know, like that's I'm sure that's a real thing.
Sure.
And so it's like there's so many different use cases where there are people who just want to either make someone else happy, right? Whether it's like their kid or their significant other or something. And like a lot of people, I think, are willing to pay for that shortcut. And it feels a little skeezy to me, but I think that people will continue to pay for that. And hey, the numbers speak for themselves. Like, this is a trend that is only increasing in terms of the revenue people are spending. So I would say strap in.
Yep, definitely. All right, we're going to do some quick hits here before we jump to the new releases. And this one,
speaking of strapping in.
Yes.
Speaking of tripling the value of the gaming industry.
Yes.
Terms of this deal weren't disclosed, but Humble Bundle probably tripled the net worth of some of their people.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Humble Bundle has been acquired by the media giant IGN. Yeah, so they are now under IGN. I don't know exactly what this means. Like you said, it hasn't been, we don't know the full details or anything like that. And it was interesting. This brought me up to asking about, because I was like, is Humble Bundle a nonprofit? And then you were Brandon, you were like, no, I don't think so.
No, it's not that I don't think so. They definitely
you were like, they weren't. And then
that's like the fact that that's sort of where your head goes, though, is part of the appeal of the business they're in, because it feels like such a positive business that you don't even realize they're a for-profit company. Right. But I think generally, like, their reputation is pretty positive, and I think most gamers, I think, benefit from their presence in the space. So you know, IGN, as many acquisitions go, IGN says if it's not broken, don't fix it. You know, so they just bought them and they're not gonna touch them. Like all acquisitions, you know, like it starts out, they're of course not going to touch Humble Bundle at all. But I think in a few years, the hope would be that, you know, IGN doesn't ruin what a great service Humble Bundle is.
I mean, as long as they rate now, I mean, now they can just rate all of the products 8.5, and it'll be perfect now that they're working with IGN directly. So I don't know. Like, again, yeah, and I think this. I don't know where this is going to go. Like you said, they don't want to touch them, all this kind of stuff. But something about this, I don't know. I don't want to say that this is like not the beginning of the end for Humble Bundle, because that's really a negative. But I don't know. Something about this just doesn't feel. I don't know. To me, it just doesn't quite feel right, and it's hard for me to exactly put my finger on. I think Ben actually, Ben in chat was talking about something. This was actually early before we talked about this. But doesn't Humble Bundle also publish games?
they have a game store, so like they've sort of expanded from their original ideas, and they have a game store. They have their subscription based thing, so they have a few different revenue streams. And maybe it really is just that it looked like a positive investment, and IGN decided to give them a cash infusion with kind of that idea of like, this looks like something that would be a good property to own in the long term. IGN has their hands in a lot of different businesses.
Right.
I think it's just, I agree that I don't see like the day one synergies between IGN and Humble Bundle. But also like maybe there's something I'm not thinking of. Maybe there are some cool things they could do together that would sort of improve everything, that would make the two parts better together. But hopefully they do leave Humble Bundle alone. I think Humble Bundle's Humble Bundle does some pretty awesome stuff, and especially like you mentioned, they work so much with charity that it would be hard to see how they would change their business model. Like there's so much of what they do is focused around charity. Maybe that's what it is. Like maybe IGN is just looking to get improve their image when it comes to charity or charitable giving or something. There could be 100 million reasons that they would acquire. Maybe they were cheap. Maybe Humble Bundle took a really cheap offer and IGN was just like, I can't believe they'd take this. Like who knows?
Yeah. This is also this is a very public move by IGN as well. The pressure's kind of on them. If they start messing up with Humble Bundle, there's gonna be a lot of people that are not very happy about that. So I have to imagine they're not going to be making decisions about what to do with this acquisition very lightly, and especially from a perspective that this is. I'm not a business expert, but this looks purely like a sustainability move from Humble Bundle, right? They just want to have the extra resources available, given that they've grown so much. So, I would love to take a very optimistic look at this and just say that this just means we're going to see years and years and years of more Humble Bundle.
Yeah, it could very well be. It could very well be a positive move in that they, IGN is a pretty well-known brand. When Twitch got acquired by Amazon, a lot of people started paying attention just because they recognize the name Amazon and they pay attention to things Amazon does. And so, people started asking, well, hey, what's this Twitch thing? This might be the same sort of thing, that like maybe Humble Bundle can get bigger, better deals and, sponsorships and other interesting things with sort of the backing of the IGN name, that they might not have been able to get that name recognition otherwise.
Yeah, I feel like I look at this article and you see, partnered with IGN or acquired by IGN, and you want to, assume it's going to be negative, but I really just don't see anything immediately negative coming from this. Like, if anything, IGN will be pushing Humble Bundle more, which is in the best interest of everyone, really. So, yeah, no issues.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it, see how it goes. All right, here we go with our weekly PUBG notification / discussion. PUBG has passed 2 million concurrent players. We talked about what were they at 1.8 or something?
They were close. They were real close. Last cast. But I think normally we would stop with like just the sort of rote updates about PUBG's player count. But I do think it's pretty momentous that they have peaked over 2 million. Like no game on Steam has ever done that, and I'm surprised that I'm surprised this game reached 2 million. I'm surprised this game in particular was the first one to do it. But really, I'm kind of surprised that like any game like that is hitting those kinds of numbers on Steam above stalwarts like Dota and Counter-Strike. Like when you think about it, that PUBG, in general has like 4 times the concurrent player base of CS:GO. Yeah. That is amazing.
Oof.
No,
it's not 2.1 today.
So even with some PR stumbles here and there, the PUBG train just does not stop. So I will be interested. We probably won't talk much about their concurrent player count again, because I think
once they hit 3 million, we will. But
yeah, maybe once if they hit 3 again, that will be pretty nuts. But hitting 2 is pretty crazy. I think if they I'm just interested to see where they level out. Like When I think interest has peaked,
right?
They keep hitting higher and higher peaks in game. So I'm very curious to see at what point do they level out? At what point do we start to see those numbers start to plateau? Because we just haven't seen it yet.
That's exactly. I mean, we've been talking about this again. I don't have the patience to go back and edit, like cut all the episodes where we talked about PUBG, which is basically like everything since every episode since the game's been out. But we've been talking about like, I mean, remember we do this every time. We'll look at where we came from, being like, I don't know, maybe it'll cut into H1Z1 a little bit, but they're different games. And now like H1Z1 is a joke. I mean, I'm sorry, it's a joke.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that nobody's playing it, but even like people are like now Fortnite's out and that runs better, and people.
Well, it's like they're just not. They're not even in the same league now. Like for a while, it was like H1Z1 versus PUBG, but PUBG is now like literally in a league of its own on Steam. And we're now it's now comparing against the actual heavyweights. It's maybe it's not a League of Legends yet, but it is. I mean, being above CS:GO and Dota, that is nuts. That is like a watermark for long-term success. Like what is? I don't think we have to worry about PUBG being around in a few years, because like if you've hit a peak of 2 million. Your long tail is going to be larger than most games ever peak at. Absolutely. I mean, unless they do something extremely tone deaf or destroy the thing that makes the game enjoyable. You know what I mean? Like unless they remove the it factor that game has, like you said. I do think they will. I do think the one thing, especially with kind of this sort of milestone, I do think that, and we've actually already seen this start to happen, but I do think they will start to be much more conservative with the changes they make, and that maybe that will actually not be a good thing. But every time their concurrent player count goes up, I think they have to be worried about what you just said, which is if they make a hard turn anywhere, they sort of risk that the community turns against them, and it's like they could leave the game exactly as it is now, and just and like keep going up, right? So it's sort of the curse of like, if it's broke, don't fix it, except that a lot of stuff is broke. And so like we don't, what do you do? Like if you start fixing things, if you start changing things, maybe you reverse that growth trajectory. So I think those are going to be tough waters to navigate when they keep growing, even when they don't change things. And I feel like they may be reticent to make changes too hastily, or like changes that are too significant. Because all these players are already playing it, and at a certain point, how much do you help yourself by potentially making a change that turns people off? No, exactly. Yeah, and I don't know what the limit. I don't know what their ceiling is. I feel like it's still a ways away, continuing to grow at this insane rate. I mean, and I don't really think the early access tag really matters anymore. Clearly, it does. I mean, if anything, I don't think it's helping the game, though. Like, I don't think people look for early access as like a thing to buy. It's succeeding despite early access. I don't know, because early access has been run into the ground by games like DayZ, etc., and it's been abused, and it's just a stupid thing. I mean, again, not saying that there aren't legitimate reasons for it, but I don't think the early access tag is doing it any favors either. So, I mean, once it actually comes out, it'll be interesting to see the player base across. Once it actually releases, it was an Xbox exclusive, right? Xbox One. So once it hits console, I mean, like that's the thing, is that I don't think we've seen it peak, because I do think that they'll probably see a resurgence when they do launch officially, right? That'll get a lot of publicity. I'm sure player numbers will probably spike once it does remove that early access tag. Sure. But then also, you're right. Once it hits console, that's going to be a huge player base infusion. Massive. So like I don't think we've seen the peak yet, but I don't know what the peak is for this game, because I couldn't have guessed they would be the largest game on Steam, let alone the largest game on Steam by a mile, not by a small bit, but by a mile. Right. Exactly. Like even that screenshot at the time it was taken, when you're like, yeah, Dota's peak for the day was 625,000. That was their peak for the day, and
it was 2 million for PlayerUnknown. Like you said, I mean, it's quadrupling.
Over 3 times.
Some of
over
these
3
games.
times the player base, like the average player base of Dota, and 4 times the average player base of CS:GO. Those numbers are just mind-boggling.
It's crazy. So, yeah, we'll continue to bring you PUBG stories. Like you said, though, I think for player base, let's all agree now we won't add it until it's 3 million. But the question really for me is just when is that going to be? Because it was 2.1 today.
Next week.
It'll be probably 2.5 in the middle of next week, and we're going to be like, here we go. It's going to be 3. I mean, yeah, it truly is fucking crazy. All right. The orange box
news.
More Steam news.
Come on, this is such easy segue fodder.
Oh God. Okay. I guess I'm also just annoyed because this is such a softball interview.
Look, from the new kid on the block to the original kid on the block.
Ooh.
This week was the 10th anniversary of the Orange Box, which, as I was putting this article in, I thought there may literally be some people listening or watching the cast that don't know what the Orange Box is.
100%, there probably are.
Oh man.
I mean, Katie Zen was like 7 years old.
Yeah. Do you realize that there? Yeah, Katie Zen. Yeah,
I know the Orange Box,
but I mean,
well,
if
yeah,
you were
because
10,
because you were a very astute 7-year-old. But I'm just saying, you were 7 years old.
Right. I.
All right.
It's. Yeah, the Orange Box came out 10 years ago, and there's an interview with I think with PC Gamer and Valve basically reflecting on it. And again, I understand because this is just basically this is an easy fluff piece for Sam, like this interview that Valve granted. They don't want any hard-hitting questions like what the fuck happened with Half-Life. They don't want any of that stuff that people really want. But it's funny because I read the comments. They just talk about, and the Orange Box was an incredible value. At the time, there was this game Portal in it that nobody knew anything about and was kind of like a wild card that, has gone on to become one of the most lauded games of all time. You had Team Fortress 2, which was launched, which, can still exist somewhat to this day, but existed for basically 10 years and was continuing to be updated. You had Half-Life 2 Episode 2. Like it was a pretty incredible value, and again, products that were just really solid. And I don't know if we'll ever see anything like that again. I was just thinking beyond the fact of the games. I mean, again, we talk about like bundles, like the Humble Bundle and stuff like that. But Valve basically just like being like, hey, pay this price and get these like really 3 solid quality products. I don't know if the value for your money at the time, if there was anything that really beat the Orange Box.
Yeah, I don't know if there's been anything in a long time that beats that value. Like all of those games were went on to be basically hallmarks of PC gaming, and it's hard to even know how far their influence extends, because Portal, I feel like Portal sort of opened up this idea of sort of modern puzzle-based games that now we've got there's a rich selection of kind of interesting mind-bending type games on Steam where I feel like there weren't really many before Portal. And like Team Fortress 2, I mean, you look at Overwatch, like Overwatch is basically exists because Team Fortress 2 exists. So it's I mean, it's just amazing that we look back 10 years ago and Valve decided to just package all of that together and put it out all together. Because I think you're right that we just wouldn't see that in the current day. Like we would see, Portal would be its own at least $20 release, and TF2 maybe that would be free to play. But like there would be there'd be no circumstance where you would just bundle these 3 products together for pretty reasonable price. It was just an interesting marketing strategy, and all of these games ended up being a pretty big deal to PC gaming history. So if you're too young to know what the Orange Box is, you should read up on it, because I feel like that was like, for at least I think that was like the start of some of Valve's glory days. Like Valve has put out a lot of good games, but the Orange Box is like maybe one of the things that they will be remembered for, for the longest.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then after the Orange Box and I guess Portal 2, what was the last game Valve actually made that was like a unique IP that isn't, let me see. Valve's last game. I'm actually curious because obviously they still update CS:GO and stuff through Turtle Beach, but
I mean, probably Portal 2 if you're
Portal
talking
2,
like
right?
sort of traditional, maybe single player sort of games.
Yeah.
Like narrative-based games, Portal 2 was the last one.
Gotcha. Dota 2 was released in 2013. Was Portal 2 after?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying, like a narrative style
yeah,
game.
narrative based. Yeah, you're right. So
And Dota also is not like entirely original ideas from Valve.
Right. Yeah, so there you go. Probably won't ever see anything else like that again, and that was 10 years ago. So
this is the kind of stuff that makes me feel old. Like, wow, Team Fortress 2 is 10 years old.
10 years old. It's crazy, dude. Oh man. All right, somebody else try to segue. I'm too brain dead to do any or attempt any others, so go for it.
Speaking of making new games, returning to your roots.
Cool.
Riot's co-founders. I thought this article was kind of interesting. Riot's co-founders made like a public statement, basically that they're going to get more hands-on with making new games.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much it. But it's kind of, I guess, a public statement that they're gonna. I feel like this is maybe the just an admission that like they want new IPs to live out there, right? Riot is a company entirely leveraged on this one game,
right?
And they're sort of at this point, it's like almost that's one of the things people know about them is like that's the only game they have, and so everyone's always interested. You know, they acquired, I forget what the company was called, sort of the fighting game company. They acquired,
that's right. I remember that.
Yeah, they acquired that company, and they haven't really done anything public with that. So not really sure what those guys are working on. But I think it's interesting that it sounds like they want to make a public statement that they're going to try and develop new games, which I think is interesting, because no one knows Riot for anything except League of Legends, and League of Legends is very popular, but I would have to be a little bit worried that same reason I'd be worried if I was Bluehole, that like you've only got this one hit, and if any one thing goes wrong, if that starts to dwindle, you won't have a company anymore if it dwindles too much. So Riot definitely has the resources to put new games out, and it sounds like the founders are going to kind of get behind that in earnest.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I totally forgot until you had said that they bought that one fighting game company. So be interested to see if they come to market or something with some like free to play fighting game. I was thinking, right, if we're going to follow the League of Legends idea,
I feel
not
like
that they have to do everything like that, but there isn't anything like that right now, right?
I feel like their pedigree is so built around the free to play model.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
I'd be surprised if they do anything that's not free to play.
Right.
But you're right. Like I think they're in a position to potentially shake up any industry they want to be in. Right, like if they wanted to make a fighting game, if they wanted to, like whatever they do, everyone's going to take notice. So I think this is, I guess, sort of notice that's going to be the strategy they employ. That the founders are actually going to, sort of really try and figure out what Riot's next game is, and and they even, I mean, they pretty much call that out in this little press release. They say, we're thrilled to be able to have a great team of such capable leaders and look forward to working with them to finally put the S in Riot Games. So not much to mistake there.
Definitely. All right. And Katie, I don't know if you added this, speaking of fighting games, possibilities.
There you go. I lofted the ball right up for you. Dunk it.
Yeah, that was good. So yes, Street Fighter V had a couple of announcements this past weekend with their tournament. So Street Fighter V, well, first of all, they announced a new character, the last character for their like they had multiple season passes, and this is like their second season of new characters and content and stuff. And it's like Zeku, I think his name was. It's like a ninja character, and he got announced. And they also announced that Street Fighter V Arcade Edition is coming out in let me see, January 16th, and it's going to be $40. It's going to come with. So basically, the model that's currently like in the game right now for new fighters is that it's let me think. It comes with all the characters, and then you earn like in-game currency through winning fights. That you can also just buy a season pass to earn characters, but mainly you earn the fight money through like playing games online or doing other modes and meeting objectives to unlock other characters. So I mean, it's not like they outright are. It's not like other strategies where they're begging you to spend real world money on the characters, but it's pretty close. So it's the arcade edition is going to include the first 2 seasons of DLC characters and all the content. Also going to have a really big arcade mode added to it, which is what Street Fighter V was really missing, because like in that one, aside from online practice, the only offline practice you could get was either going on versus mode and just fighting computers, or the survival mode. Like that was it. Single player content. But they talked about how this is going to have a really fleshed out arcade mode with like 6 different paths to choose from and unique endings based on player performance, which I think is pretty cool. It's got like those mini games from the old school Street Fighter, like the staples, beat the car up in the middle for and be a lot of time, classic stuff. It's got extra battle mode, which is like a series of time challenges where you use your fight money to kind of gamble for the chance to get like a exclusive premium outfit. And so like more content like that is pretty cool. But the cool thing about this is that if you already own Street Fighter V, everything aside from just getting all the DLC characters for free, well, not for free. What am I saying? You get everything but that for free in a free update. You get the new UI. They're also adding new V-trigger moves, which was like a kind of a exclusive move that every character has, like part of their move set. Every character is getting new V-trigger moves, it looks like. So yeah, all this content is going to be in a free update if you already own the game. But if you don't, this will probably be a good starting point for people to go into if you just want to instantly have all of the characters instead of buying 2 season passes and then the game. So I thought that was a pretty cool announcement. Nice. But yeah, I'm not really too into Street Fighter V. I do watch it when Evo goes around. I mean, it's always super exciting, but I'm excited for more people to get into this game, because I mean, I've thought about getting into it, but the PC port is apparently garbage, which is very sad, and Capcom will probably not fix that. but yeah, I thought that was interesting. Also, really quick weeb news: Blaze Blue cross tag battle, new character announced. Weiss Schnee from Ruby is in the game also. Let's go, boys! For the 2 viewers that watch Ruby, let's go. Ohio in the chat. All right. All right. So speaking of new releases, let's talk about some current new releases. So first up is Elex. It's ELEX. It's from the people that made they make Risen, and they made Gothic. I haven't played either of those, but they made a bunch of RPGs. This is the newest game from them. Just looking at the gameplay, it looks a little clunky, but then again, this isn't really the kind of game I play. But it's looking like a huge universe to explore, mutated creatures, quote, deep moral choices and powerful action. So yeah.
I only play games with deep moral choices, so yeah, it checks that box.
Like Flappy Bird.
Yeah. That's right.
It's no more deeper moral choice than that. But yeah, pre-order this, you get a 10% off for $45. If not, it'll retail at $50. So yeah,
it's a pretty looking game.
Yeah, it does look good, and it's got some. It's got a great testimony from Fanboy Nation in their reviews. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's published by THQ Nordic.
Yeah,
yeah, not indie. It's good to see they're still making stuff after. Well, wait. Yeah, THQ Nordic is separate from THQ, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Let's move away from that blunder. Next up, the South Park, The Fractured But Whole.
Yes.
Just an incredible
I've been
title.
waiting for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't play the first one, but it looks like more of the same, and that's a good thing. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
A little bit deeper of a combat system, more options and stuff.
Mhm.
Definitely excited for this one. But yeah, I mean, it's Ubisoft, but the last game was really great. So I'm hoping that it's just more of the same, like you said. Fingers crossed.
I mean, you know it's going to be good because it has not one, but two trademark symbols in the name.
Yeah.
South Park trademark,
Right.
the
Yes.
fractured but whole trademark.
Trademarked.
Yeah. When I was typing out the doc, I was initially typing out South Park, the fractured but whole. I was like, wait a minute, I have to copy and paste this title because I know the two trademarks are worth talking about.
So in case you were thinking about naming your game with either of those phrases, you are on notice that those phrases are trademarked.
Yep.
And yeah, if you it's got a pretty good pre-order bonus. You get Towley as your gaming bud.
Nice.
That is quote. And also, if you pre-purchase it, you instantly get the Stick of Truth for free. Well, basically for free.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal.
Not a bad deal, yeah.
Actually.
All right, so October 17th, $60. It's coming out. Next up is WWE 2K18, the latest sweaty man top rope simulator is releasing at long last.
Yeah.
Now you can finally see Randy Orton and Rey Mysterio. I don't know. I don't even know if either of them are still active. I don't know. That was a different time of my life watching WWE. But yeah, it's the most realistic WWE video game ever because why wouldn't it be? It's 18. It's the newest.
It is the newest one, and so
yeah.
I would hope it's the most realistic one ever.
Exactly. I'm really interested to see the microtransactions that go on in the 2K18.
Oh my!
I'm actually
going to say this feels like something you need to try out, Scott.
Yeah,
what the economy.
That sounds like a my career playthrough.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be good.
Also, I mean, I feel like if we're talking about characters that you could model after yourself, you are way more likely to work in the WWE universe than you would be to be a basketball player.
That's true. Yeah, my 5'11" max weight character in NBA 2K18 is really having trouble dealing with like average height of the guy who guards me is like 6'5" or 6'7" that I'm trying to guard. So just
your body type maybe fits the WWE persona a little bit better.
Just a tad. Yeah. A tad.
All right.
No trademark symbol on that game. So, as I understand it, if you would like to use the WWE brand in your game, that's completely fair because they didn't put a trademark symbol on it.
Yeah, I don't see it anywhere. I find that really odd because, like, I noticed on a lot of old footage, they take the time to blur out the WWE symbol, even though it's their symbol.
Really? Huh.
Really weird. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, just something odd. Also, if you pre-purchase it, you get 2 playable versions of Kurt Angle in his American Hero persona or his Wrestling Machine persona. So really smart move.
If you're not going to get that, why even play the game?
You don't want to. You want to know something really? Kurt Angle connection. When I lived in Pittsburgh, he used to work out at the same LA Fitness I was a member of, and would see him working out very hard every time I was there, which was not as often as I would have liked. But,
I was going to say, you could have said, I used to work out with Kurt Angle at the same gym, but you said, you specifically used the phrase, he worked out at the gym I was a member of.
Yes, exactly. I phrased that carefully. I phrased that. There was a time where I was a little more active at that gym, but it came and went. No, he's a cool dude. But yeah, he lives in Pittsburgh. He lived in basically like the same area that I lived in Pittsburgh.
Oh, cool.
A lot. He's a cool guy. Very short. Kurt Angle.
Wow.
Short, big piece of man. Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of American Hero personas, Life is Strange Before the Storm. Their episode 2 is coming out on October 19th.
Can't wait.
And yeah.
Can I just say, when we're talking about price points for games, though, as much as I love to mock Life is Strange, because I think it's pretty cringy, $16.99 for the amount of content that you get out of. I don't know what the last one was, but if you play that and like actually check everything out and don't run through it, $17 for like a pretty decently long experience is really, really reasonable. So I don't want to say that it's all bad. It's definitely worth playing if you just want kind of to play through a movie and kind of, you know, see if your decisions matter. I always liked their price point and I respected it. I think that's like really fair.
That's really fair. Yeah. Yeah. And I just can't believe, like, I just find it so funny, like playing the game and you see everything in there, you get the cringe. And then you look at the reviews and you see touching, poignant, will definitely move you. Phenomenal, authentic, and heartfelt. Like, yeah, what the fuck?
No, they're really.
Did you see the heat lamp?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, last up this week is a game I had no idea was coming out, but I'm super excited. The Jackbox Party Pack 4.
Nice.
Oh,
that'll be fun.
Yeah. The first 3 are some of the best party games you can get, and 4 is going to have Fibbage 3.
Nice.
Which, yeah. Wait, does it have Quiplash? It doesn't have Quiplash. Don't buy it.
Oh. Don't buy it. Katie's already removed it off the dock.
Yep, it's gone. What game are we talking about, guys? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's got 5 games as per usual.
Some of these look amazing. The Survive the Internet, the web-based frame game, twist your friends' online comments and hilarious words. That's literally what my chat. That's what we do. Is people just take quotes that I said and they twist them. So a game that's built for that is perfect.
Yeah, it's really cool because when you look at the description, you see like they're saying there are even more features like made for streamers, and like they're encouraging like it to be played with streamers and like crowds over, you know, connecting also. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. I don't know if anything can be.
The Jackbox games are so good that I mean, I didn't realize a new one was coming out, but I've only played them a handful of times, but I was so impressed when the first time I played them. I was like, wow, this is actually really, really fun. Like way more fun.
Oh yeah.
Way more fun than you would think, you know, a video game is, where you like, you tell everyone like you got to pull out your phones and all this, and everyone's like, oh no, that doesn't sound like it'll be fun. They're so much fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna pick this up.
It's so good.
All right, awesome. All right, that's gonna do it this week. Nothing too good aside from what is it, Tokyo T-shirt girls? I didn't want to throw that in the dog.
Keep that one to yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, just in my private selection.
Yeah.
Keep that on. If you want to learn about those, just follow Katie's Steam curation page.
That's right.
Oh my god. Okay. Oh, I hate it. Ever since I played I played one of those Sakura games, and now all of my recommendations are changed to, do you want to play all these fucking visual novels everywhere?
Well, I mean,
I don't.
Do you want to?
That's not the question. That's just, I'm making it.
Well, Katie, I'll always remember the day that I added you on Steam as being marked by my entire Steam store now being recommended for me to play Dark Souls.
Yes.
Like, the front banner, there was an entire section that was all just recommended by your friend Katie's N18. Like, awesome. Oh my god, I get it.
My work is done. There it is. That's awesome.
Cool. All right. Well, let's jump into the viewer questions. Not too many, but we've got two questions to hit up today. And the first one comes from Diab on Twitter, and he asks us, is KBMOD having any kinds of events at TwitchCon? And that actually reminded me that I had not mentioned the KBMOD Denny's LAN that we're going to be participating in. We're going to make sure you bring your tower, your mouse, your keyboard. And we're going to just basically, we haven't talked to any of the Denny's in the Long Beach area, but we're going to all show up with our computers, and we're going to set up, we're going to try to get a big table, and we're just going to play video games and order the Denny's, the various skillets. I'm going to get some chicken fried steaks, and it's going to be a great time.
Oh, man.
Can you imagine?
I wasn't truly sad about missing TwitchCon until I heard about
you heard about that LAN, the Denny's LAN.
That's right.
But in all seriousness,
that actually sounds like where I would want to be for about 24 hours, is just gaming and being served Denny's food.
I mean, it would be amazing. I like it would be awesome to make it happen.
And I mean, you could actually let's assume that a Denny's actually was okay with this, right? With you just like taking over a whole room and putting PCs in. If they were okay with it, Think about how much it would actually cost each person. It'd be like $25.
It would be
to
cheap
get
as
fed
hell
the whole day.
Oh yeah, Tenny's is really reasonable anyway. You get so much food.
Definitely.
Yeah, it would be such a cheap. Oh man, maybe figure out a way to tie that into like Extra Life or something to make it a charity thing beyond just us wanting to eat Denny's and game there. Like, give me like, hey, it could be a write off or you'll get good publicity. But yeah,
well, I mean,
no.
good
As far as
is,
actual
subjective,
it's subjective. Yeah. As far as an actual answer, not that I don't know of any specific plans. I mean, we'll probably do a meetup for people that are involved or watch and listen to KBMOD and stuff like that at some point. We usually do like just kind of like a meet and greet somewhere on one of the days. Other than that, though, I'm not really aware of anything. Are you, Brandon?
No, we'll probably do something impromptu to kind of get people together.
Yep.
I mean, TwitchCon is like the only thing going on in Long Beach that weekend, so
okay.
It should be. I think it should be pretty easy to find people, but I imagine we'll probably just post on Twitter, for the time that we're going to meet up. It'll probably be some afternoon, I would guess.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if speaking of TwitchCon though, if anyone listening is going to TwitchCon, us three minus Katie Zen, we will all be there. So if you see us, definitely say hi, even if it's not at like a meetup context. Definitely, stop and say hi. And if you listen to the cast or if you follow KBMOD, I feel like I say this every convention that like, you can always come up and chat or say hi. But at TwitchCon, that's like the whole point. The whole point is just like getting communities together. So if you're going to be there, please don't be a stranger.
Exactly. Brandon says that, but then once you walk up to him, if he doesn't instantly recognize your username, he's like, "Who the fuck are you, kid?" And then he usually just walks away. Yeah, I've seen him crush so many dreams. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I echo what Brandon said. Just come up, say hi. We'll probably do something impromptu. There's so many people going this year. Even from my community and a lot of people from KBMOD community. It's actually overwhelming.
I see some of the TwitchCon chat badges in chat tonight, so it's cool to get a sense of who's going just based on who's wearing the badge.
Yep, exactly.
Hey, Brandon, can you do me a favor? I want you to say, please get away from me. In like your most like, if someone absolutely disgusting, cringy, unfunny was like, "You're Brandon." What do you say?
I mean, I would probably smile at them and say, "Hey, good to see you. What's your username?"
No.
Look,
you've been personally.
I'm a professional. Okay. Do you think I'm gonna let someone who, judging by that tone of voice, is intentionally trying to provoke me? Do you think I'm gonna let them get away with something?
All right. Then here's the second question. This is what he does. He walks up to you in a male romper, going, "Mom, it's the robot. Hot pockets, corn dogs." Now at this point, I can see your clenched
KB, you
fists.
already told me you're not going to TwitchCon.
God damn it. Yeah, I think even in that case, Brandon would be a little startled, but he'd still be professional, believe it or not. I think, because if he's there and as an ambassador for Twitch on a certain
right, yeah,
he can't be too aloof, even if he wants to.
It's like that speedrunner that was like, "I'd really prefer if you be quiet." I just want to hear Brandon say, "Please get away from me."
Roast somebody.
Look, if you're not going to TwitchCon, I'm not just gonna make up something I might say, right?
Yeah.
If you want to try and cross that bridge, you can fly to Long Beach next weekend.
Oh man, I kind of want to fly just so I can. Do you imagine the payoff of just hearing Brandon telling me, "Please get away from me"? Like it would just been any other Saturday until we had this conversation.
If you were to go and keep it completely quiet, get travel plans, hotel, everything, TwitchCon badge, and then just all of a sudden like pop up behind me, and do that, I imagine you would get a very authentic reaction.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta check my bank account real quick.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we're gonna see Katie there now.
Call off work.
All right. We've got one more question here before we get we conclude episode, what is it, 297? I almost forgot. This comes from Connor on Twitter, and he says, I saw Blade Runner, and it was lit, with the lit emoji. If you could have any movie be remade or have a sequel, what would you choose? Question. I was just thinking. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, this probably isn't my actual answer, but I think Looper had a really good universe, the kind of setting they kind of built. I think they could do some more with that, like maybe not really going along the same story, like the way Looper went, it kind of ruined that world a little bit. But I'd like to then maybe they roll it back and then maybe take events another way with another more characters. Maybe see
I like
some
Looper.
side stories. Yeah, that's a good movie. Let me think though. Go ahead.
Trying to think for me. I was thinking, because I was like, this question is tough because how many movies haven't they made sequels or remakes of at this point? Right at this point, it's just all about the remake, at the very least. Or I'm just thinking of. He brought up a good one with Blade Runner, where people were like, "Will that ever get a second movie?" Well, there we go. It did.
Yeah. I think there's a lot they could still do with Scott Pilgrim. To be honest, after reading the comics, after watching the movie, I think there could be a smart way to make more with those characters and not ruin the story, I guess.
I would like to see a sequel. Actually, now that I think about it, the M. Night Shyamalan movie. Why am I blanking it? Bruce Willis, not The Sixth Sense. Unbreakable. So Unbreakable, I could have sworn that I read that they were at one point making a sequel for Unbreakable. But one thing Sark always points out about Unbreakable is that movie just starts getting good and then the movie ends. You don't really get to see Bruce Willis starts realizing his power, and then the movie ends. It seems like that movie would be ripe for a sequel, because there's so much that you could do with that universe now that he realizes what is, he can't die, essentially, right? So sorry, spoilers if you haven't seen Unbreakable, but you pretty much find that you learn that pretty quickly, or you guess it. So that would be kind of cool to see that kind of universe continued, and stuff that he would face. I'd be done with that.
I'm not sure. I'm trying to think. A lot of the movies that would come to mind. Oh yeah, that does have a sequel. It does have a remake already. The only one, since we're time limited here, and I have my movie collection in front. One of my favorite movies ever is Tombstone. And I would be interested to see how they would remake Tombstone today, because it's got a lot of good casting, but I don't think they would, if they were going to remake it, they wouldn't cast it with with those same people, obviously. So, and a lot of the reason why I like it is just the people they cast in the roles. So I'd like to see a remake of Tombstone, 2017 Tombstone.
Okay.
There's this short film that came out, I think 2010. It was called A Day in the Life of Mr. Sark, and I think a remake of that movie could really a lot they could do with that world.
Yeah, still a lot of stuff not shown actually in that they could do for a sequel.
A lot of secrets kept.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this one. But so I think my answer is, it's not like these are direct sequels anyways. I think it's more like I miss the kind of production that came out of this. But I would love another series from HBO that was akin to Band of Brothers and The Pacific. Something set in World War II again, for maybe like a completely different side of the story. So something like Russia and Germany, as opposed to usually we got the American perspective from both those series. But I would love to have something back along those lines.
Okay,
that's a really good example.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. Connor and Diab on the questions today. We appreciate that. Still have not seen. None of you guys have seen the new Blade Runner, have you?
No,
not yet.
Same. I've heard a lot of good things, but have not seen it. I'm gonna try to get to that. at some point. All right. Well, this is the part of the show where we would do the iTunes podcast review of the week, but unfortunately, for another week, we do not have a review.
You're barren.
And we are barren. We are barren. And the reason for that is that all the daddies that listen to this cast aren't sticking their seed into the. Okay, I'm getting real graphic here. Sorry. Let's backtrack a bit.
And we wonder why we don't have many reviews.
I can't imagine people aren't writing reviews. I'm trying to use analogies. I don't get it. But no, we have no one to blame but our viewers and listeners who aren't leaving reviews. I hate to phrase it like that, but that's the way it is. It's very simple to leave a review. And if you've already left a review, honestly, like this does not include you. I know a lot of you faithful listeners have. But if you have not left a review, open up iTunes, search for the KBMOD podcast, find us, rate us 5 stars. That is the requirement. And then put whatever you want in that box as far as you can tell us how we're doing with the podcast, moments you've liked. You can write us a poem. You can write us a song. The options are essentially limitless. You can do whatever you want. And we'd love to hear from you. And you might get a chance to have it read. So yeah, hopefully next week we will have a review. Of course, before we get out of here, I got to remind you, check out kbmod.com for reviews, especially the review of Night War, Battle Chasers Night War, which Tim has a video up on the channel about that. Check out the forums, check out the multi-stream. Again, there are some build guides Brandon was talking about that are still moderately current. And
yeah, they're still current, like for pretty much for what you can order right now. But
right.
I would maybe hold off if you're looking to build a higher end PC. We have new CPUs out, but they're all out of stock.
Yep, exactly. So, but yeah, check that out. Of course, KBMOD Gaming on Twitter at KBMOD Gaming. KDZen is at KDZen_. Yingity Yang is at Yingity Yang on Twitter. I am at APL Fisher, and Volition is at VOL1TION. And yeah, we appreciate you guys listening as always. Hope you enjoyed. And we will see you not next week. We will not be having a cast next week because we're all going to be at TwitchCon. Well,
right.
3 of us are going to be, and maybe 4 if KDZen wants to do that little spook that we were talking about.
1 tentative.
Yeah, exactly. So no cast next week, but we will see you then. So next week, what is the 22nd?
We won't have a cast on the 22nd. We'll return on the 29th. So we'll have a spooky pre-Halloween cast when we return from TwitchCon.
Exactly. So, just keep that in mind. And again, like I said, really appreciate you guys listening and interacting with the cast. And we will see you guys 2 weeks from now on the 29th. See you guys later.
Yeah. Ciao.